Hey, welcome back to the Artisfy Codecast. This is going to be a really quick session. I just want to go over some things I've been thinking about, some things that have come to mind, and just go through my thoughts basically. So let's start off. Where were we? So we're going to open up our project files, and we're going to get this, and input.js. And also we're going to get this, because this has our documentation in it. We're going to go into here, and we're also going to open up the bundles pug file and go down to where we were working on the revisions. So if we see, we have included revisions, and okay, so now we have this key, right, for the major revisions, and then we have the key count. Now I have a few thoughts I want to go over. One is moving data O attributes to the top level component as a best practice. Not making the data L attributes work with output.js, just input.js. I'll say not. And then the last thing I want to go over is creating a new attribute, data, I don't know, W, that will sync data with a key. That will, watch a key, name, and call a custom function. Okay, so this first thing, moving the data O attributes to the top level component as a best practice, that means that that this, for example, or let's see, what's a better example? So this data O attribute, this wouldn't be here. This would be on the top level list item up here. You might wonder, well, why? Why do we need to do that? There's a couple reasons. So the main reason is just to have all of the data located in one place. So let's write that down. Have the data all in one place. So, I mean, you have a component, right? It's going to be responsible for a bunch of things. It's self-contained. Why not put all the data on the top level area? The other reason to do that is so that it can control the styling of its elements. And what that means is, okay, so say we have this data output key hours, so that we have this hours key, right? If we have this here, it's only going to be able to affect the styling on here if we use this attribute in our CSS. But if we put it on this area up here, it's going to be able to do more than that. Now the downsides, let's put pros and then let's put cons. So there's only one con I can think of right now, which is that it makes it harder to use the same key name in similar components. So here, for example, we reuse this key name here, but we namespace it so that this one is inside of a minor revisions object, and this one's inside of a major revisions object. And then the nice thing about that is that when we open up our area, our inline edit area, it's going to sync with the same keys, right? So it doesn't need to worry about how it's namespaced. So I actually do kind of like that. The thing I was thinking about though is like why um, is okay, so like say I have this thing up here and I say like 0, then I can use this for styling, right? If there are 0 hours for this, maybe I show an error here, right? So that maybe there's an error box down here and I say like, please, add more hours, right? Something like that. And then I can show this only when this is equal to 0. So that's interesting, and I really do actually like that. But then it's not namespaced. Um, Except it could be, right? It actually in this case, the output.js library does take care of this case. I'm pretty positive about that. It's going to, from this, exactly as it is, it's going to create an object with major revisions as a key inside of it, and then that's going to have a sub-object that has hours equal to 0. So yeah, there's actually no downside to it. Let me make sure about that. So it all comes down to parse node as usual. And getting the data from the elements. So we get the node data, and so that's going to be parse node. Yeah, parse node. So this is going to say, okay, give me the element type. Is the parent data an object? If so, get the key. So it's going to give me the key back. And then the value is going to be getting the data from the node by looping through all of the keys, all of the data output keys. And then we can see what we do with this key when we go back here. If it has a key, we're going to grab the parent data and add that key to the parent data and then assign the value to as the value of that key. Otherwise, we're just going to extend the parent data with the new object. So this actually does work. So yeah, I think I'm going to stick with that. And this con goes away. Okay, so and let's delete this. I'll move this in there. And let's just say like changes. We'll say like IO input output changes. Okay. So we'll move that up there. And now the next thing, so that's just to think through it. I'm not actually going to move it up right now. The next thing I want to do is make the data L attribute not work with output.js, just input.js. So let me explain what this means. So right now we have the ability to create a location key, and that's going to say where to set and where to get the data on this element. And my idea for this is to actually instead put a data output key up here, right? And we can have that equal to 1, right? And then we're also going to set the data here. So we're going to set the data in 2 places in our server template file, right? Because we have to set the data, and then we have to set the actual content, right? But the benefit is that, okay, so now we've got both of these. Now, if the output.js library doesn't look for these location keys, all these location keys are going to do is work with the sync. So if we look up this one, sync output data attribute values, and we should actually rename that. We could just say like sync data attribute values. So what this is going to do is it is going to look for the location keys and sync the data from the output into from the output keys, right, which is what we're getting here, into those location keys, and the location keys are gonna tell the sync function where to put the data. Okay, so now what are the benefits of this? Well, okay, one, the output library will be faster. Okay, so it's not going to have to parse. It's not going to have to like parse this string and then grab the inner text when it's going through all of the DOM nodes. All it's going to have to worry about is the data output keys, right? So that's a good thing. And then the other thing, so yeah, the output library will be faster. Only data O keys will help create output data for like easier to read code. I mean, it's slightly easier, right? Like if I have this like data L thing and then I have a like data O thing, that's kind of nice, right? If it if I don't have to like look at these ones too, I can just know like the data O keys, exactly how they look, are going to be what's sent up to the server. The other thing is so with this idea, right, where we move the data O attributes to the top level component as a best practice, but we'll say but not enforced. So in combination with that, if all of these data O keys are up here, then we might have something up here that's like a data O text, and then we might have like hello there, right? That's not really that interesting, but like at least we know that where it is, right? And that's nice. And we know like what it says, right? So all we have to do is look at the top level component. We don't have to kind of like read through the rest of the code. In combination with number one, we'll just say number one, right? And we'll label this number one, number two, number three. It will give one place to look for all output values. Easier code to read. Okay, so there's that, and then yeah, so then all the location keys are saying is, hey, sync with this, but you don't have to parse it, you don't have to worry about it. It's just kind of this like extra thing you do, yeah, when you need to. So let's look at here, like what would the syntax for this be? So we have data I think we could make this. No, I wouldn't want to make it input because it's not input, it's output. So I think L is fine. We'll just say location, but it doesn't sync. And then do we even have to put this on it? I think, well, how does it work? Right now, no, if it's just syncing with it, we actually don't need that attribute. So we'd no longer need the data O type attribute on the data L or near on the same element as the data out keys. So, I mean, these aren't actually like super important reasons, but I think with this next one, we'll kind of see like how it all fits together. So the last thing is creating a new attribute, data w, which will watch a key name and call a custom function. So the idea here, and let me copy this included revisions section right here. So I'm going to just say like revisions example, and I'm going to put it in downloads. Okay. So the next one, the next idea is that we have a data-w key. Okay, and let me show you how that works. So, but like last time we did all this stuff here, right, where we were detecting when this data was being changed, and when it was being changed, we were looking for this class name, and we were seeing, you know, how many revisions there were, and then we were changing this based on how many revisions there were. So instead of that, what we can do here is do a data-w key, and we're going to call this count, and then we're going to call a custom function here. So we'll say like, I don't know, I'm not going to think a lot about the name right now or how it's structured, but we could call it pluralize revisions. This, oh geez, did I copy enough of the detail? Yeah, I did. Okay, okay. So we're going to move the data key count up here. We're going to say it's 1. We're going to remove this. We're going to have that like that. And then we're going to move this hours up here. And we're going to have this be a W. And 2 hours of extra work. Okay. So now, yeah, this would be the new syntax. It's not that much different, right? Let me see where I'm setting this real quick. So if I go into here, I go into public, I go into JavaScript, modules, revisions. So yeah, I have to do all this stuff, right? And I like had to keep changing the class names, like when I changed them, and then I like changed how this was displayed. So let's mimic this. Okay, so like the other thing we want to do is up here we want to do a watch, and we want to do data dash w and then we'll do a key, we'll do count, and we'll do like count changed. Okay, so now what we would do, we would pass in functions that have these names into some kind of global init object. So if we look in our app.js, we would pass it in somewhere like here. So we would say like, you know, count changed is a function, blah, blah, blah. And then we would have the other one, pluralize revisions, and have it be a function. And this function would receive the current element and the new value. And all it's responsible for is setting the new value somewhere or doing something with the new value. It doesn't even have to set the new value. So for example, in the, so this is, we'll call it revision count change. I'm not going to update it in another place because I'm just thinking through this. I don't actually want to commit to doing things this way yet. So I would say like if the count is 0, we're going to hide this element, and then we're going to find the closest. So we actually want to go up to here. So let's say like find the closest details section, and we'll indent all of these things. And we're going to say like add class details section, no major revisions. And we'll say like, I guess major revision count changed. So the idea here is that we don't have to keep track of like all the stuff we were keeping track of in here, right? We don't have to like do these custom query selectors. We don't have to like, we're just going to get the element we're interested in and be able to like set the new data. So like for example here, what we're doing, we're pluralizing the word, and we're also getting the number of hours and like creating a string based on that. So we would still want to do both of those things, but we could do them separately in separate functions. So that part's nice. And then the other thing is that I don't know. I mean, we don't have to keep track of the class names. So yeah, so we don't have to keep track. If we change them, we don't have to like, I don't know, change the class names in our code if we rename them. And the other thing is we can modularize our code a little better. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. It's not like super compelling, especially because like we still have to do some like pretty complicated DOM stuff. And like this is like responsible for multiple things, right? So it's gonna hide this current element, and then also be responsible for like attaching a class to this. And the reason it needs to attach a class to this is that I want to show or hide some buttons. Like, okay, so like if I'm hiding this element, for example, if there are no revisions, which is something I want to do, then I want to have a way to add it back in. And so I need to, you know, have a class up here that's going to make a button appear that says, you know, add major revisions, right? So I don't know. I think it's pretty good. I'm going to go for now. Because yeah, I gotta go. I got plans. But it was fun thinking through this real quick. I think it sounds pretty good to me, but I think I still need, you know, a little bit more time to mull it over and to see if it's actually a good idea. But I think I like it better than what we currently have. I just kind of want to work out a couple of the messier details. Okay. See you later.